Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today is the WNR449. It's AEW Full Gear 2022, and I am not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first, by my side for every WWE and AEW pay-per-view is, of course, the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How you doing?
Hello everyone. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. We're so excited for an AEW pay-per-view. Hopefully, today is the day that the tide turns back into the positive for AEW, because it's been quite a tough road so.
Oh, definitely. It's been a rocky year, I would say, in terms of not just like wrestling content. I just mean in terms of everything outside of the wrestling TV world. So it looks like it's maybe a good end of the year for AEW, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. We're up next, a man who is our resident NXT and New Japan expert. It is, of course, Monty. How's it going, man?
I'm good, man. I'm freshly 27. I'm not hungover somehow. And this is my time of year, so I'm in a good mood, and I'm ready to review this. So, yeah, I'm doing good. Good as I can be.
So it's been your birthday recently. I think that's subtle hint.
Yeah, yesterday.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You forgot mine, so it's the same.
I didn't forget. I think I told you happy birthday. I think afterwards, something like that.
No,
that counts.
We're both telling each other happy birthday.
Yeah, we're both doing a little late. It's fine. It's okay.
27.
Okay.
God, I remember. No, I said back in the day. But I'm glad to have you on. And like Jaxie said, I think our year-end show is going to be like 8 hours long with the amount of shit that's happened in 2022. But we'll see what happens then. We'll carry on last, but by no means least. Well, it's weird because I looked up a new word, and it was Gina Voyant, which, you guys might not know, but it's a person who has a supernatural ability to perceive events in the future or beyond normal contact. And, of course, that is Genius Gina. How's it going?
That is a very, very fitting description for me. I'd like to take that as a compliment. I'm doing great. How are you?
A little bit freaked out by your super hero powers now. But again, it's good to be proved. It's, like I said, but it is scary. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to lie and say this hasn't happened before, because it actually has. And I've freaked myself out. So to be honest, I can completely understand why you feel that way.
Yeah, just get out of my head.
Move over, Claire. Ain't no more clairvoyant. It's all about Gina. It's Gina Voyant now.
Gina Voyant. That's our next T-shirt. Gina Voyant.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck Claire. It's now Gina.
Yeah, fuck Claire.
Change it like site. It's the G site.
Yes, you are.
Yes, it's the G site. I like that. Let's go with G site.
Well, I would say thanks to everyone who listened to our live pre-show. We actually had a blast doing it, and we had a great response as well from everybody. I think it's the most response we had, because usually, over like kind of weeks into it, but as it was live and as the pay-per-view was there, kind of instant responses as well, which is really, really good. One thing I didn't mention, and someone actually did, Gina, there is someone out there who must really love you, because I did get an email saying I didn't mention it was your official 1 year anniversary on the last podcast. So you've been here 1 year now. Congratulations.
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice myself, if I'm truly honest. So thank you to that person for pointing it out. I didn't even notice. Yeah, I'm just glad that I've not been let go so far. So.
Well, we'll see what happens today, but I'm joking, of course. But
you can't lose me that easily now. You can't lose me that easily.
Well, I forgot your anniversary. I forgot Monty's birthday, so there we go. I guess we're all even as we head into AEW Full Gear, November 19th. And let's start with the buy-in. The Night's in-ring action kicked off with 10-man action as the All-Atlantic champion Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor promised a very mysterious, very evil partner to battle the Factory's Aaron Lee Johnson, Cole Carter, and QT Marshall. This was a straightforward tag match that gave way to a good finish as Danhausen emerged from the jaws of comedy, a darker, more intense and aggressive version of himself than we've seen at this point in AEW. He obliterated Marshall with a German suplex, poured a jar of teeth in the mouth of Camarato, and blasted him with a kick for the win. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this match on the buy-in?
I thought it was okay. Again, it's difficult because I want to say it's a good match, and the Factory aren't bad wrestlers, but no one believes they're really going to win. So it's really just a way to sort of like warm the crowd up, So I mean, the match was fine, but it didn't do anything for me. That's probably why it's on the pre-show,
Yeah, but you felt sorry for Cole Carter. I mean, not for anything he did in the match. But on Wikipedia, you did say to me, because he's got no hyperlink, you see, because no one cares.
Yeah, that's not me being hyper. That was me pitying him, like, bless him. They couldn't even be bothered to hyperlink his name. So it was for pity. But now I feel like that's even worse.
Yeah, I know. You didn't even want to go into him.
I'm just digging myself a hole here.
Yeah, we got a teeth chant low, and QT is a great heel. It's a shame he's the manager of the LA Rams. Does that work? I have no idea. I did that for you. Is that funny? Are they a good team?
What? Was that a good team?
I mean, they're deep. I guess they're not. They just won the Super Bowl, but they suck this year. So.
Right, because
yeah, you're in between.
Yeah, right. There you go. Well, do need some work. And the title in the bag doesn't make sense because you can have the belt over your shoulder like a fucking bag. But, whatever.
Yeah. And they say he doesn't like carrying things. I'm like, he's going to have to hold it either way. Put it on your waist, then.
It's just a bit weird.
I mean, that's what it's for, right?
It's Orange Cassidy, though. Yeah. Different for no reason.
But I do think that this somehow diminishes, like, the whatever, like, with the title itself. It's not really being sort of advertised or shown in a way that I think is like helping to make it prestige enough, So it doesn't really feel important because it's always in a bag over a shoulder.
Yeah, I agree, but I know like the Cassidy character's a bit like Gina of like whatever. So I suppose we'll see what happens. Gina, what about you, Gina?
I also feel like that's not making sorry to add on this last part, but I also just feel like, even though that's Orange Cassidy's character, is not doing anything to elevate the belt. So I just feel like it may have been the wrong move putting the belt on him this early on. But then again, we'll see what's to come because it's not been a full year since the belt's been out yet. So maybe I'm just being too harsh.
No, to be fair, you could argue that every belt this year awarded by Tony might not have been the right or wrong choice. But I was going to say, Gina, I've been talking to you about Danhausen. What about a new dangerous Danhausen? Did that do anything?
Yeah, I'll admit that I started to like Dan a little bit more the more that he was put in storylines. So the storylines that he put in with, Hook, for me that worked. And it kind of like made his character a little bit more understandable, I guess, for me. He's still not exactly my favorite character. I'm not as annoyed when I see him as much, but we'll see. Maybe a darker Danhausen is more ideal,
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens, see if he can improve. Like I said, it's a different step for him. This match kind of did the job I think needed. Jaxie, what would you score that out of 5?
It was a good match. I'll give it a 3.5.
Monty, what about you?
Yeah, about what I expected from a QT Marshall pre-show match. And like you said, Evil Danhausen added something to it. So 3 stars for me.
And Gina?
Yeah, I gave it a 3 star.
Predictions. Well, the prediction leagues before Full Gear. Of course, we've got the bonus league. Jackson over Monty on 8. I'm on 12. For the W Pay-Per-View League, Gina 5. And me and Gina on 5. Monty and Jaxie on 7. The AEW Prediction League, of course, we're doing today. Monty is on 1 with Gina. Jaxie's on 2. I'm on 3. So Jaxie needs to win this pay-per-view and basically needs to beat me in whatever scores happen there. And if Jaxie does get the win, she finishes level points. We'll both get 2. So we'll see what happens there. All faces this time rounds, all gone 1-0 up. And you know what? Again, talk about the response from live show. I actually got some love. I can't remember the last time I got some love from listening, actually praising, saying, I do. And of course we all know what it was. It was the pronunciation of Kazuchika Okada. And I'm going to try it again, all right? So hold your fucking hats, because a certain wrestler was confirmed as All Elite, and that wrestler, Konosuke Takeshita. Fucking get it.
Yay! That was really good. That was really well done.
Yes, I win again. So thank you, everybody. And it's been a great episode. No, I joke. But yes, so Takeshita is All A. It'll be fun. And then we got the Full Gear World Title Eliminator Tournament semi-final. Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage. Starks sold injured ribs caused by Lance Archer and Cage just 24 hours early on Rampage. They were the target. The Machine's attack flew early and often, forcing the babyface to fight back from underneath. He did just that, delivering a destroyer pile driver and putting Cage away with the Rochambeau win. Gina, what do you?
I think it was a good match. I think it kind of just, I think they both work well together because they have had a few matches against each other already, so they kind of knew how hard they could go with each other. It was entertaining to watch, and the crowd were all behind Ricky. He was just getting, so many chants. So it was kind of nice to see that and just know that this storyline that he's doing is pulling off. But yeah, I kind of saw this outcome coming because I have the G site and because I have faith in my Ricky.
Like I said, Ricky's selling is on point. And Taz knows both. Obviously, talking about Team Taz and the connection there. And Ethan Page on commentary was asking for pointers, where obviously he's facing the winner in the next match of Dynamite. It made sense. And Ethan Page actually made me laugh out loud by saying Brian Cage had a great, which is just brilliant. And if I'm Brian Cage,
God, I was laughing so hard at that, James, when he said that. He said it so seriously as well. I didn't know how many people actually caught him saying that on commentary, but it was brilliant.
I thought, what? He has, but he has got great set tits. That's how I will.
Yeah, they're definitely better than mine, so, I'm a little bit jealous there.
Okay, moving on. So if I'm Brian Cage, I'm going to Japan as soon as possible. I mean, Monty, they would treat Brian Cage like an absolute monster.
Yeah, and they really he's kind of like in the Jeff Cobb range of guys who can be not just in of being physically strong and being impressive, but he's a great athlete. He does things that guys his size shouldn't be able to do, and he's able to just throw you around and be a great power guy. So yeah, I think he would fit in really well over in Japan, especially you put him with the right baby face and someone that's going to sell for him, kind of like Ricky did here. But yeah, I agree with you. Brian Cage definitely has all the tools when it comes to being a great power guy in any company around the world, really.
Yeah. I said Japan, but
him versus Hikuleo.
Yeah.
Him
and Hikuleo, yeah. Exactly. You have a lot of great matches. Him and Ishii, even though the size you wouldn't think would match up, but Ishii is physical. So Shingo, a lot of it'd be great. He could have great matches with of course Okada. He could have great matches with anyone on the New Japan roster. But like you said, yeah, Brian Cage has been great. I liked him even in the Impact days. So. Yeah. I think he's always been solid in the ring. I think it's just more so about microphone and character work. And guess what? We know in Japan that really doesn't matter.
I have to add my sort of dream match for Brian Cage if he went over to New Japan. I really would love to see Brian Cage versus the Great Okan. That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, our hero. And like I said, there's so many possibilities, but have you just not used him right? So it's one of these things. But like I said, the finish looked good, and I thought it was on the right match. Gina, what would you score out of 5?
Yeah, I enjoyed the match. I gave it a 4.5.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I thought this match was good. I gave it a 3.75.
Monty?
The fuck?
Yeah. Same. I gave it.
Who was in this match?
Okay, I've got to be biased just because of it's your man.
Each time I have to rate an Okada match and I give it a 3.75 and you feel bitch slapped in the face, you can suck on it.
Wow. Do you know what, James? I'm giving it a 4. Otherwise I'm losing a sister tonight. So I'm giving it a 4.
thought. That's what I thought.
Are you satisfied now, sis?
I am very much.
Changing my points.
Monty, what are you going to score it?
I wanted to say 3 3/4, but I don't know if I.
Don't do it, Monty. Don't do it. Don't do it. She gonna bully you.
3.9. How about this? 3.9? No, is that a good enough grade? Do I have to go up to 4? 3 3/4, Jane. I'm sticking with it. Sorry, I'm so sorry, Jane. So sorry.
Yeah, I mean, to succumb to pressure like that, I would never would. I'm going to give that 5.
Look at someone trying to get some brownie points here.
No, I'm not. I'm going to give it 3 3/4. I'm sorry, but
wait. So why is it I'm the only one who gets this shit? And I bet you she won't say anything to you.
Yeah.
We've already changed. Didn't get out of it. The boys are in the doghouse tonight, and that's that.
Damn.
See, we stay out there, so we fine.
Do you know what's the funniest thing? People. It's literally the second match. Just imagine.
Right? We haven't even got to the.
Yeah, but it's alright for you guys because you guys will be able to be like, okay, after the podcast, bye guys. Whereas me, I will get her calling me and giving me shit. So I'm saving myself a headache for later.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Predictions. We all went Starks, luckily, because otherwise Gina would be after us. We all went on 2 points. We then had Eddie Kingston versus but Jun Akiyama. I think Akiyama good enough.
There you go.
Yeah,
good job.
I don't want to get too many because then other people might expect that every week. It's just not going to happen. Especially when we get to like the tag league, I'm going to be fucking. But anyway,
baby steps.
Yeah,
you're getting there.
Eddie Kingston was emotional with Renee Paquette prior to the contest. The enormity of the match and what it meant to him was obvious. He rode that emotion into the and he wasted little time unloads on the man who was highly influential to the pro wrestler he would become. We saw hard-hitting strong style and they beat the hell out of each other, trading chest-rattling chops for tossing each other around and explosive suplexes. Akiyama rocked Kingston with an exposed knee, but could not keep him down. Kingston absorbed, withstood, and blasted Akiyama with a back fist for the hard-fought victory. Nothing mattered as much as a tearful show of respect by Kingston to Akiyama afterwards, and it's this emotion that makes pro wrestling so damn special at its best. Monty, this was good fun.
Yeah, man, this is great, and it was personal too, like you mentioned earlier for Eddie. You could see it, obviously after the match, but even throughout it. And I do have to give props to AEW for even booking it because we, like I said, you could tell how real this was, and it was given a lot of time to finish out, even I don't know what they call it. What do they call it pre-show?
Fuck.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's
0 hour now. 0 hour.
0
I'm gonna
hour.
get it right. Yeah. Point.
Okay.
Bonus point.
No.
No.
Damn it.
No. You're slick. I was happy though with this. Like I said, the time that they were given, it was definitely strong style, definitely Kings Road style, as they mentioned on commentary. They were throwing strikes and chops. They had me in my element, of course. You got to see a legend at work here. It was physical, and I thought the exchanges between the two were executed well. And you could just see this match the way it was crafted. It had Parisu or Japanese professional wrestling. It just had it written all over it. It was very evident. So I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. So it was, like you said, really good fun.
Yeah, really well. Eddie seems to be in this position recently, though, on the kind of, like I said, the buy-in / 0 hour.
Yeah.
Kind of getting everybody. Even so much so, he said, hey, people at home, it's 7:53 and 40 seconds. It's all the goddamn pay-per-view.
Just buy it. I loved it.
Like I said, fun match. I'm going to give that 4 as well. Jaxie, what about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with what everything that Monty said, really. I felt from Eddie's promo on how emotional he was, I felt the nerves for him going into this match. And I just genuinely ended up feeling more and more like invested in this match. I just really loved it. So I'm going to give it a 4 as well. I just felt like I was kind of there in that moment with Eddie. And it was such a great feel-good match itself. You could tell that there was such a level of respect on either side for either wrestler. And it's just lovely to see those type of matches sometimes.
Yeah, without shadow of a doubt. Gina, what do you score it?
Yeah, I gave it a 4 as well. Like you all said, it was a good match, and to be honest, I'm quite biased because I really love Eddie, and every match that he has, I really enjoy because he just brings his personality into his wrestling, and so you just can't help but feel the same emotions he feels. So yeah, definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, without doubt. Our predictions, we all went Eddie, so we're all 3 up at this moment in time. JR joins the team, and the main show starts with a steel cage match. Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus. Of course, the big man dominated the action, overwhelming his smaller opponent. He blooded his former friend and intimidated referee Bryce Rimsberg when the official attempted to buy Perry time. Cage found himself dragged to the back by security, but even without his presence, it's dominate. That is until a massive destroyer. Steel chairs and tables came into play. The result of the fight spinning outside the cage after Christian unlocked the door. Perry was repeatedly forced to fight from underneath, and he did overcome his opponent's advantage to deliver an elbow drop from the top of the cage and apply the snare trap. Victory. Only in AEW whilst the match is taking place. But again, Jaxie, what did you...
I mean, this just went hard real quick. You know, this went from like 2 to 10 within the space of 5 minutes. You know, you had Jungle Boy just sort of already ripped open. You know, I think I said to Gina, oh God, John Moxley would be so proud right now, you know, with this. I also was just kind of thinking to myself, I started to hesitate and think, oh, is it going to go the other way? And then all of a sudden there's going to be a massive upset and that's going to be like how it starts AEW's pay-per-view. But overall, it was a great match. Both men like had a lot of trust in one another in this match, just watching them sort of like, you know, take some real sort of risks when it came to being in the cage. They really tried to like make use of the space. And I appreciated that because you just kind of, it kind of felt like it was out of both of their comfort zones, but it also looked like they were really willing to like give it their all. So I have to commend both wrestlers because I think it went really well. And I think it went hard. It was really nice to kind of even see Jungle Boy coming out as Jungle Boy Jack Perry. So I appreciated all of that.
Yeah, like we said, Star is born. It's Jungle Man now.
Yeah.
That's going to happen soon, isn't it? But like I said, a great way to start the show. Great visuals as well. And because of AEW's pay-per-view schedule, Christian should be healed up by the next pay-per-view. So we probably have that match as well.
I mean, I'd quite like it if that is the case, just because, like I said, I think on the live show, I kind of don't want Jungle Boy going into the new year, like still in this sort of storyline. Like, you know, if this is his sort of growing into sort of the man sort of storyline that's happening right now, that we need to stick with that. So if we can actually nip this in the bud and sort of get him versus Christian over and done with. I don't mean it like that as in get it over and done with like I'm bored, but just be more the case of I'm really intrigued and excited to see where Jungle Boy's solo career is going to go. And I kind of would like to see sort of that start from the new year, especially as we are getting towards the end of the year. So with any luck, it could work out.
Well, I hope so. You know, we'll see what happens. What have you scored that out of 5?
I'm going to give it a 4.5. I thought it went really well.
Monty, what about you?
Yeah, I like you said, blood in a cage to kick off a card is very AEW, but it's something I thought I never really seen like before. Like starting, I don't think you have a lot of cage match to kick off, but it's already blood everywhere. But they had a lot of Shawn Michaels and Undertaker callbacks in the match. You know, the tombstones and like you mentioned, the diving elbow off the top. So this was really a war, and I thought this was a payoff to at least the Luchasaurus part of this feud. We all know Jungle Boy or Jack Perry needed this, and I do like you mentioned, it just does feel like the end of the Jungle Boy era and the beginning of the Jack Perry era. So, yeah, we'll see what happens next. I gave it 4 stars.
Good stuff. Gina, what about you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I always enjoy steel cage matches. And again, just as Monty said, they gave some really good, like, sort of nostalgic feels with the moves that they were pulling off in the match. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.25. So it was a great way to start off the Full Gear show, sure.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5. Really, really good way to start. Predictions all went Jungle Boy, all on 4. So perfect scores on. All right, I'm not gonna shout too soon. 4-4. Unfortunately, if this was WWE show, we'd have 2 matches left. Because it's AEW, we've got 9. So we'll see what happens. And it's the Trios Championship next. The Elite versus Death Triangle. And the Elite returned from their suspension in the arena to carry on my one by Kansas. I mean, love them or hate them, they did return. I wonder how much Tony did pay for that. Not Bray Wyatt level, but good for them. Fuck CM Punk as well. I mean, Monty, what the fuck? You know, what do you think about that? Talk about fans, fickle fans.
Right. For years, I wanted them to stop chanting CM Punk well after he stopped working for WWE. So it's crazy to see how far on the spectrum we have gone now to, like you said, AEW. Not only just the AEW fans, just fans in general loving CM Punk, to hearing that right there. We know what jersey. That's one thing I'll say. You asked us whose side we were on, I think, on the live show. We know who jerseys, or at least that crowd, we know what side they're on when it comes to this situation.
It really is baffling, though, to see them go, like, literally less than a year ago, there were people crying in the crowd, you know, seeing the return of CM Punk. I thought it was a little distasteful. We don't need to be like that as fans. We really don't. We don't need to involve ourselves when we really still to this day don't know the full ins and outs of it. I'm not trying to say that CM Punk is innocent in all of this, but you know what? We can be better. We don't need to be shouting fuck CM Punk when he's not even there. How about we focus on the wrestlers that actually are there and give them our full attention? So, you know, I felt it was distasteful.
I mean, again, not to throw cat amongst pigeons, but again, with the Young Bucks as well, kind of dancing to the tune and just thinking they do look a bit like petulant children. And again, I know what the Elite have done to pro wrestling, but it's not, again, they've done a lot for wrestling, no doubt, but it's just this hype train of the Elite and kind of they believe they are the best, you know. And again, that's why they like Marmite, you know. You either love them or you know. I think with the Elite that you do hate them, and it just shows that, again, CM Punk, whether right or wrong, they shouldn't that. You know, like you said, you're better than that.
Yeah, and I bet you any money, half of these fans shouting "fuck CM Punk" would be hypocrites right now. And if they met CM Punk right, like the day after, they'd have been crying their eyes out on their knees, looking to, like, you know, ask for autographs and stuff like that. Yet you were shouting the "fuck CM Punk" not 24 hours ago. So it's just like, it's all about hypocrisy. Like, we don't have to involve ourselves in the dramas that happen outside of the wrestling companies. So we don't even need to have an opinion. And there's no point bringing it up because all you do is actually probably take away from the wrestlers that are in the ring. So, yeah, even though, yes, it was about the Elite being there and that's why they were shouting it, at the same time, like, you know, this has nothing to do with Death Triangle. So why are you even bringing him up right now? You should be shouting Lucha Brothers or the Elite.
Yeah, or just do a cheesy ass welcome back chant. You don't need to actually even acknowledge the other party involved in this. Just do a welcome back chant, say you're happy, but you don't need to lower yourself to something like that. I agree and thought it was distasteful.
Well, as for the match itself, we see Omega, Nick and Matt fight to Pac, Ray Phoenix and Penta, keeping off guard by their unbridled energy. High-flying Arsenal. Death Triangle attempts to slow things down, but a hot tag to Omega popped the crowd and brought the Elite back in the match. The action broke down, obviously, as it tends to do, with Pac trying to get Phoenix to embrace his dark sides and try and keep his hammers to his advantage. After several near falls and false finishes, we saw a DDT Phoenix took on the apron, was absolutely sick, as was Nick and Penta diving off the top to the outside. We saw a great sequence with a Black Arrow looking like it was going to get the job done then. But in the end, and like I said, a really, really good ending. Phoenix finally did embrace, like I said, the hate, use the hate, and hit Omega with the weapon and pinned him to the shock and awe of not only everybody watching it, but especially me. I was like, what the fucking... Gina, what were your thoughts?
I mean, the match was great. It was such a good match, and I wasn't really shocked that it was a great match with these two teams involved. There were like a few spots that I absolutely loved and found hilarious. Like Nick Jackson taking the beer from the fan, or the soda or something, and he was like, "Is this diet?" And I was like, "Mate, you're the one who took it off this guy. How do you have the audacity to make sure that it's diet for you? Like, I'm not your PA." But that was funny, and I did notice that Nick Jackson also kind of, I think he did like a little bit of a CM Punk running knee move against Ray Fenix at one point. So I did notice that a little bit. But yeah, no, I thought it was a really good match and I enjoyed it. And as always, they both sides just put such a good performance on. And it's like, I don't want to follow that match. I wouldn't want to follow it because it was so hype.
Well, the thing is, this is AEW at its best. When I think of AEW, it's stuff like this. It's stuff that maybe WWE doesn't do, like a true alternative. And seeing the Elite and Death Triangle go out it is going to be really good. Let's hope we not get bored of it because they made it a best of 7 now, so we're going to see that in Dynamites. But again, the ending was near perfect. Gina, what would you score that for?
I mean, I'm going to give it a 4 3/4 because it was so good and I was so entertained from beginning to end. And the shock of the ending, that just threw me because that I did not see coming. So I definitely gave it a 4 3/4 and happy to stand by it.
Yeah, Jaxie, what about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with everything my sister said about the match itself. Like it was so good in terms of the building, like you said, James, about how, they were building up to, will he not, like what's going to happen during this part? And I really wish I had gone with my gut instinct of thinking about, no, the Elite are only just coming back. They're not going to just shove it straight back on them, this, that, and the other. And I really did kind of kick myself for not going ahead with my initial thought of Death Triangle taking this for the win. I really enjoyed this match personally. I think it was as much as there were so many great matches, but this one really stood out to me. I remember just watching it and getting a little bit hyped because I was like, Jesus Christ, like the whole section between Nick Jackson and Ray Fenix, oh my days, seriously, those two don't know when to stop with their energy, and they could probably go in this best of 7 match, just those two, and I'd be entirely entertained. I thought this was really good. I'm going to give it a 5.
For 5 there. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, like I said, this match was what I've come to expect, especially from them 6. They know each other so well at this point. Awesome athletes. The spot's going to always be great. That finish, like you guys have mentioned, Phoenix finally, taking Pac's advice. Again, I kind of was hoping for that as a fan, but I just didn't think I didn't know if they would do it when I made my prediction. And of course, they went on ahead and pulled the trigger, and I was actually surprised. But maybe it's me because I'm just like I said, I'm used to the Elite style, and I know what to expect from these two teams. And I think the crowd added a lot to it and probably made it feel a little bit better than it actually was, even though I do think it was, like you said, balls to the wall fun. So I ended up giving it 4 1/4. I was impressed with the match, like I said. But again, I don't know. I think I've seen them all do better. But like you mentioned, James, they run the risk of running this into the ground with the whole series. But that makes more sense to me now that I know they're going to do this a lot more. So it's probably only going to get better from here. So I know they can do better than this, and they will.
Yeah, no, I'm just laughing because it's like Kenny Omega saying, yeah, no, I jobbed. People say I don't do anything. I jobbed to Phoenix on my night back, and it's like, yeah, you got another 6 fucking matches. It's not that big a deal. But again, like I said, good stuff. I'll give this 4.5 out of 5. Like I said, the pay-per-view started off. We like some of the cage match, and now Linden really, really good. But unfortunately, our perfect score is over. Cool. And then the TBS Championship match, Jay Cargill versus Nyla Rose. Rose entered with Marina Shafir and Vicky Guerrero in the lowrider. Of course, to Eddie Guerrero, her late husband, as it was. I think she even had a not I'm your puppy, but I'm your mama or mummy t-shirt on as well. Cargill went to the arena in Thundercats inspired. Now, I had to go back and watch this twice. Because the first time I was just, and again, I don't want to sound like a creep here, but Jay Cargill just distracted throughout this whole match. But I did go back, so we're going to do that version.
definitely looked amazing in that outfit. I mean, she's my hero when it comes to cosplaying. She just does so well. I was really impressed with her outfit.
Well, let's not forget Thundercats are Thundercats, as long as we remember that. Right.
Oh, yeah.
But the Native Beast challenged Jade in a way no other competitor had to this point, testing her ability to defense throughout this bout. On more than one occasion, it looked like Rose would become the first woman to defeat Cargill, but the incredible athlete withstood her own jaded finisher and downed Rose to score the victory. Monty, what are your thoughts on this? Because Jade, the look was astounding. I don't know the matches.
Yeah, I feel bad for them following, like you guys mentioned, that hot crowd from the Elite. So it's going to be a come down period, really, and I kind of hate the women always kind of getting stuck in this spot. But it's 3 women's matches on here, so I guess you got to take what you can get with Tony. And but again, I don't think this is as bad as I've seen some people saying this match was, but I do agree it wasn't really great. But I love the finish. That was the highlight of the match for me. But between the crowd kind of dying, the story that got us here, and the way that match kind of played out, you can't tell me this couldn't have just played out on Rampage or Dynamite. But they worked hard, so I don't want to take away from any of them. And I understand what you're saying, James, the outfit. She even mentioned she probably won't be doing gear like that again on her Twitter. Yeah, because obviously she kept adjusting it. You can tell it was getting tough. So I commend her for even getting through the match, as well as she did. So, but I do give it 3 stars. I thought, like I said, they worked hard, but I'm not gonna act like this was better than it was. This could have been a regular, like one of her adding to the Street Rampage defenses, and we wouldn't have batted an eye at it. But I give them credit for working hard.
But the thing is, though, Monty, we do watch a lot of bad women's wrestling, so with NXT. But, Jade's 626 days unbeaten, 42-0. And this was awkward, but if Madison Rayne is training Jade, then we are all in trouble. Should Jade make a little bit more along now, or is that unfair?
I mean, everyone picks it up at their own pace, but I do think she's definitely grown already in stride from where she was at the beginning. But I don't know. I like you said, we just got to give it time. I do also think that Jade will benefit. Maybe if we can find some people benefit with the right people. So that's another thing too. I don't know if Nyla will be that match for her, but we'll have to see as things play out. But I love you digging that Madison Rayne here. It's like there's other people who's supposed to be helping her. I heard Bryan Danielson was helping, right? Or whoever. There's other people
in the not training her correctly. Not just Madison Rayne.
She can ask so many people.
Gina and I have definitely just influenced James here. I think he's definitely
Madison Rayne. That's
Serena D was a coach. Come on, man.
Do you know what? I feel like Jade would actually benefit from working with Serena D. I think Serena D went from being one of those female wrestlers that, because I hadn't seen much of her before AEW, I wasn't entirely impressed and wondering why everyone's going off about her. She's thoroughly impressed me in all of her matches, consistently. I think Jade would really benefit from just doing a bit of training with her. That being said, I also agree with Monty in saying that I think that Jade has gotten a lot better, and she's progressing very well. I just think it's not entirely Jade's fault, but it's the storylines that Jade has put in that doesn't really make you want to invest that much. Like you also said as well, this match could have easily been on a Dynamite or a Rampage, and we wouldn't have really felt like, oh, this should be on a pay-per-view. I want Jade's matches to actually be come across dominating to the point where we really don't think that she'll ever be become undefeated until we get that sort of underdog story of someone coming up and getting it. And I don't entirely think it's her fault, but I feel like there were just a few moments that could have benefited if they came on second, and then had the 6-man tag after their match, because like you said, the crowd did sort of dip at this point. There were people you could tell going to the toilet, which is just not really nice to see when you're in the middle of your match. So I feel like there was all these different things that were going into play. I also just feel like it would have felt like more of a big deal if Nyla Rose had come out by herself. She didn't really need her entourage there, but yeah.
Tony's got to reference WWE somehow. You know, you can't see what he's going to do.
I'm pretty sure there were a hell of a lot of WWE references here tonight, James. You could have afforded not like bringing Vicky out, or I liked the tribute that they did with Nyla's entrance coming out in the car, but it was also unnecessary.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give that 3.25. What are you scoring it, Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to give it a 3.25 as well.
And Gina?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the same as you guys, 3.25.
Up next, well, all predictions, all went Jade, so all on 5. Then we've got the Ring of Honor World Championship. The Ocho defended his title against Sammy Guevara, Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. Jericho held his own in there with Claudio and Danielson, while Guevara showed up and showed out. What could be very easily be devolved into an overbooked mess. They focused too much on dissension. Instead, it focused on logical storytelling between 4 competitors who set aside friendship in search of gold. Jericho, grizzled and alert veteran of the squared circle, seized the opening and scored the win to remain champion and continue his crusade. This was actually not a bad match at all. Jaxie, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. I think that it did its job really well. Like you just rightly pointed out, I really did think that this was going to be mainly about sort of just seeing sort of cracks slipping between Sammy and Chris, and even Claudio and Bryan Danielson. But I really did like the sort of teamwork aspect that came into the match quite a bit. I also feel like there was perfect moments for each wrestler to sort of showcase their stuff and what they can really do. You're just never going to get a bad match when these 4 names are involved, so just seeing it in a fatal 4-way, it was really entertaining and I just thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Sammy thought he had it, and Sammy's actually, this past month, Jericho must have said to it, or someone, just cut the shit. And I think we've seen that with the performances. Great performance by all 4. But then again, like I said, when you've got the quality of Claudio, Danielson, and Jericho with Sammy there, it's going to be... What would you score that out for?
I gave that a 3.45.
3.5.
That's a 3 3/4, isn't it? Yeah.
3 3/4, yeah. All right. Yeah. I don't know math that much. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, like you mentioned, it was a lot of fun elements to this match. And, they had some great moments, especially when the teammates would end up battling each other. It was also great moments like the double single crab when Danielson and Claudio had Jericho, I believe. And they did the, I think, sharpshooter and the LaBelle lock. Like, they were killing Jericho. It was fun to watch them get that in. And Sammy, like you said, mentioning almost pinning Jericho. That was fun also. My only complaint is that maybe they had one too many false finishes. And I'll mention that when we get to the end overall, how I felt about this show. Maybe it's just something that AEW likes to do. And like I said, I'll get to it later. But I do think that finish, also the actual finish, ended up being a funny botch of the Judas effect. I think we know what he was trying to go for, and they actually finally executed it. But that was
hilariously good.
Yeah, it was funny how it turned out. But I had, like you said, it was so much fun watching this, and with the caliber of guys in it, I have to give it 4.25. This was a good time.
Gina, what about you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. There was good spots throughout it, and like Monty mentioned, I really it sounds really evil when I say this, but I really loved the gang up on Jericho. I was just like, yeah, have it, take it. Seriously, I was like, you deserve that. So yeah, that was great. I gave it a 4.
Yeah, well, predictions we all up. So I'm gonna give that 4.25. Prediction wise, all went Jericho, all on 6. And up next, Saraya versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Saraya come out first. Britt came out alone. Both women got nice reactions. It's a shame only one women's match gets a proper build on a pay-per-view. But again, I'm going to moan a lot more. We see her brother Zach watching from ringside. And Saraya found herself on the defensive early. Baker targeted her neck repeatedly. The injury that dominated the build to the match. Saraya fought back and the action remained relatively even down the stretch, kicking out the other signature moves. But frustrating, mountain on both consecutive rampage pin victory. I've got a lot of say. It did look like 5, not just being that guy. This had all the making, but not many women can carry others. And we talked about it a little bit with Jay Cargill just a minute ago. And some women can do it, some can't. And I'm not doing it to get reaction, but Charlotte was probably the best at it. Big match situations, being able to carry opponents through and get the best out of there. Britt is getting there, but I don't think she's at that level yet. Not one person in the crowd. And after 5 years back, you would think that maybe there'd be a bigger reaction. The match maybe should have been no deep cuts, but then again, it's Baby Saray. She's champion, but when she becomes champ, probably just do backstage pay-per-view. And a lot of people said to me, I hate Paige because of what I said on a live show. And I'll just let you guys know as well. She beat Emma and became the first woman to wrestle in a takeover and the first NXT champion. She won the Divas title on the debut night after Mania, beating AJ. I remember watching them live and cheering. I was upset as anybody when she got injured. Being 5 years since her run, more outside stories took the shine off. Hope now she can build a legacy in AEW. We focus on her. Sorry about that, guys. First, Gina, what were your thoughts on this? Because it just, for me, is just a little bit off.
I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I actually think that Britt did well wrestling with Saraya because it can be probably a lot of pressure to be the one wrestling someone when they've just come back from such a terrible injury. And you wouldn't want to be that person who gives them their first match back and gets them screwed over again, you know? And you'll face that wrath of not even just the fans, you know, everything above. So for me, I feel like Britt did well to kind of wrestle in a safe way with Saraya. I get what you mean in terms of like the ending, even though like Saraya had such a, you know, relieved expression and you could tell that meant a lot to her, that win and everything. I don't know, the fans just in the crowd, they didn't seem, you know, as hype as I would have expected for someone who's just come back after such an injury. So it was a little off-putting, but I don't want to say it's the wrestler's fault because the story was built up well and we could understand why the match was coming about. So yeah, it's just a bit disheartening because again, I want the female wrestling to be on the same level as you know the male wrestling, and we want them to feel the same sort of satisfaction and get that expression from the fans. So it's sad to see that it didn't possibly come out as big as expected, I guess.
What would you score the match out of?
I'm going to give them a 4 because I was still really intrigued with this match, and I although I was annoyed with the outcome, I was still happy for Saraya. So,
Monty, what are your thoughts? Am I being too harsh?
Like you said, 5 years away. It's going to come with ring rust. And I've seen a lot worse than this from people who wrestle. Like you mentioned, Jay, we watched 2.0 during some rough times, and I'm not trying to pick on anyone in particular, but there was a lot of people on TV who wasn't ready. And I think, like I said, I can't compare this to that. Like, it was a little sloppy, but it was a little slow. But that's fine. Like you said, the chemistry can't necessarily be there with Britt because she hasn't been in the ring. She hasn't done this in a while. So I'm willing to forgive any of that. Plus, like Gina mentioned, the moment itself, you can just see in the entrance. I was very happy for her. As you can see how emotional she was as she completed the comeback. And I thought just for that alone, this was an awesome moment. And I definitely, as soon as I seen her come out, I was like, all right, well, time to test that neck. And no doubt, the only thing Britt Baker did pretty much was go after her neck. And Saraya pretty much sold every spot like it was going to be her last. So that kind of got a little bit over dramatic. But it was, I get it. I understood why they were doing it. It made sense. And it wasn't a war. It wasn't a classic. But I thought for the moment alone, this turned out as well as it could have, in my opinion. But I do agree, the crowd not necessarily being there for it. Very, very crazy to think about the odds that she's beating or that the things that she's coming back from. Like, I agree. It doesn't compare to the Edges or the Bryan Danielson who had similar situations. And we know how elated people were when they returned. So it does suck to at least from that point of view. But again, I thought this turned out okay. I gave it 3.5 stars.
Jaxie, what about you? Do you think, and I'm going to ask a question as well, she would have had a bigger reaction for a return? Because don't get me wrong, when she showed up, we got massive pop and debuted. But for the return match, do you think she would have got a better reaction in a WWE ring or even an NXT? Because that is was home?
I mean, not necessarily. I don't think so, especially when we heard how big a pop she got when she did make her entrance. I do think, again, that there's not been much of a decent and consistent build-up, which is why there could have been a lot of people that weren't necessarily, I wouldn't say invested, but interested, maybe. But I do have to kind of disagree with you, James. I really enjoyed this match. I don't know if this was coming from thinking about our point system's point of view, but also my genuine concern. But, I felt Britt did extremely well in terms of, like my sister said, that there was like a nervousness that I could feel coming from Britt in terms of like the pressure of not only trying to make sure that this girl who's just come back from injury has a decent match, but also looks good and gets over with the crowd. So I think with the amount of, like, if you look at Britt's career at the moment from sort of start to when she really took off and she had that pressure to stay consistent and all this, that, and the other. I felt like both women worked really well together. There were moments that I was on the edge of my seat because I was genuinely like, oh shit, that looked so bad on her neck. I'm scared. The crowd really weren't here for it, and I'm not really sure why, but I would have been actually up on my feet for that ending, because as much as I lost a point, I felt that happiness wash over me when Saraya got the win. Like, I really wanted her to get that win. I know I didn't choose her, but I was thinking of it from a sort of underdog sort of storyline, thinking that, like, Britt would be able to be like, yeah, like, you go all the way back to the bottom, I put you down because we're still better, blah blah blah, you've still got ring rust. But I think the match itself was actually decent for what needed to be done to solidify that Saraya still has it, that Saraya can come back from an injury like that and prove that she could still have a decent match. Do I think it was the best? No. But did I enjoy it? I did, a lot. So I gave it a 4.25.
Yeah, I gave it 3 3/4. I think it's just because, like I said, to see Saraya or Paige back, it's good to see, and let's hope we can focus on wrestling now. Predictions. Well, we got team. I know it's Jaxie. Obviously, I know who you are, but also we're going to call you Ro, just for a little bit. Don't worry, because it makes sense. Because Team Rogina went for Britt. So Rogina and the names together. Monty, our name, Team Jonty. Fucking have that.
Jaunty.
Jonty?
Oh.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Well, Team Jonty went for Saraya. So it's Rogina 6, Jonty 7. That's going to catch on.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I can't even get behind that one.
Oh, come on. Hashtag Team Jonty. Come on, guys. Let's do this. That's on the Facebook.
Do you know what? I actually think the other way around would be better, so that you would be known as Montez. I think that's better.
Oh, so James barely in the name.
Yeah, so I'm ES. Hang on a minute. Whoa.
I mean, but it does sound better, though.
Hang on. Why don't we call it Team Jamie? And just have the Y.
Right.
You have an ES on the end, James.
Two. Oh, you give me two. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I literally give myself one letter here, and you're saying no.
You did. I don't think names sound good either, though. So you did a good job. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Names.
Look, WNR didn't sound right. So you get used to Team Johnson. So we will move on for the TNT Championship match. Wardlow versus Samoa Joe versus Powerhouse Hobb. Gina, get out of my fucking head. I can feel you in there already. We get a well-paced, hard-hitting battle of badass heavyweights. Big meaty man slapping meat. Thank you very much. Wardlow threw for the air with variation of Jeff Hardy's whispering, and actually thought he was him, because, like, we haven't seen Jeff in a while. Have we ever seen him in the same room? Like, he was flying around. Hit a swanton as well. Like, come on. Even JR, in his stupor, kind of enjoyed what was going on in the commentary when he wiped out Joe and Hobbs, and Joe wiped out both opponents with a tope suicida. Joel stole in Wardlow with a TNT title after Wardlow uncorked his powerbomb symphony on Hobbs. He choked out Powerhouse to score the victory and become dual champion. Gina, not only are you a fucking genius, but you fucked us both.
I mean, I definitely think that so well. It really did. It shook me when that happened because I called it and I actually didn't necessarily see that coming. So when it did, it just gave me the chills. I had goosebumps. I hope everybody else who listened to the podcast before and saw that happen got goosebumps and thought of G-Site.
Yes.
This is, I think we all thought, how the fuck has she done that? Jaxie, I want to know your reaction, man, because you must have been.
I mean, man, my night sucked at this point because I had this bitch in my ear just shouting, I told you. Like, she was shouting it. Oh my God. Seriously. It was the worst moment of my life because I was like, oh my God, this bitch is never going to let me forget this. This is going to haunt me. I also was laughing.
Every pay-per-view.
Also laughing my ass off because I think that, there was a long discussion about this match on the live show that we all had. None of us saw it going this way. This definitely put a smile on my face because I think sometimes wrestling can be a bit too predictable. I mean, this is what we do. We try to actually predict it, This I was pleasantly surprised by. And I also think that it answered another one of our questions, which we were discussing on the group, just discussing like Ring of Honor on Saturday, and just really what they're trying to do by having these Ring of Honor matches on the Dynamite and stuff. But one way to actually bring more attention to it is to have someone who is a double belt holder, one that's AEW, one that's Ring of Honor. So it's a very clever move by Tony in that sense. Wardlow, oh my gosh. I was not expecting him to be the high flyer out of all three of them. When he got on the top rope, I was wondering what the hell he was going to do. It was entertaining from beginning to end. I thought Will Hobbs looked great in it. They all had such great moments. I'm really glad that with the way that it ended, where like Hobbs was just sort of taken out, like no one was pinned, because I kind of like the idea of us getting a series of singles matches out between these three, whether it's Wardlow and Hobbs, whether it's Joe and Hobbs, whether it's Joe and Wardlow, so I'm kind of even more invested in this title and in both titles now since this match. So I think they did a brilliant job.
Well, I think. Well, let's just circle back round because, like I said, Gina getting this right. So all I would say is that you could have had gone for Joe. I know no one else was.
James, up because I already got like this half of this stuff from my sister, and now you got to rub it in as well.
Look,
this is
I think he's referring to me with that. Like, if I had just actually committed when I said my prediction that Joe was going to get it and just changed it, I could have had a point.
Yeah, but to be fair, you even though you would have gotten a point, the whole point I'm trying to make is this was like a sort of James versus Jaxie versus moment, and neither of us won, so I was satisfied with that.
But the thing is that it was Jaxie and James, and Gina made it all about herself by getting the Samoa Joe. It's just like.
I mean,
let's just admit it is about me.
I mean, to be fair, like I said, you fucked us both. But I think there's no doubt when we say Powerhouse Hobbs, Monty with Powerhouse Hobbs, he will make a lot of money in the WWE. Tony fucking hates him. It's the only way. Like, what the fuck?
They definitely will be offering him. It might be a bidding war of whatever year Will Hobbs is available.
Yeah, we have to make that point.
Yeah, I don't know. We got to find out the year first. But yeah, this was great, like you guys mentioned, for all the reasons you mentioned. Three big boys doing what they do. And they all showed a little bit of why they're special athletes. And Wardlow impressing with his athleticism, but it wasn't enough. And that finish, again, I hate it because it's just like that typical, get the guy who's obviously about to win out of the way and then let me win type of finish. But, it is what it is. I can't be too mad at it. It was, like you guys mentioned, it was a pleasant surprise. And I gave this whole match 3 3/4 in the end because, like you said, it was a satisfying big man contest. And, I enjoyed it overall.
I mean, the thing for me is that Wardlow's slowly becoming the meaningless big man, which is the opposite of what he was. Especially when you hear the piped-in Wardlow chants, you think they really have not followed through with the momentum they had. I've got nothing bad to say about Samoa Joe. Nothing but respect for him there. Jaxie, what would you score that out of 5?
I mean, I gave that a 4 1/4 because I thought it was a really great match. Very entertaining.
Gina, I'm interested to see what you scored this.
No, I mean, I gave it a 4. It's not that I didn't enjoy the match. I actually really did. And the ending truly shocked me and shook me. It wasn't my favorite of the night, but I also didn't think it was a bad match. I didn't think Full Gear had a bad match, if I'm truly honest. So I gave it a 4.
Yeah, I would agree. Just a lot of them. I'll give it a 9.5. Predictions. Rogina went for Hobbs. John T went for Wardlow. Neither of us get the point because Samoa fucking Joe. So Rogina, John T on 7. Jericho versus Ishii and Orange Cassidy versus Hager were confirmed in backstage segments. Tony S, the team. And now the match nobody wanted to see. No DQ, no count out. Sting and Darby Allin versus Jeff Jarrett. That is JEFF, JARRE, Double T, and Jay Lethal. And this was WCW in 2000. Sting and Double J stood across the squared circle from each other. The babyface took the fight to the hills early and often, punishing for living hell. Of course, have been made their lives in the weeks leading to the show. The hills surged back, thanks in large part to Satnam. Paul Allen soaring off a ladder, carried him to the ringside area and tossed him onto the entrance ramp with no care at all. Sting jumped out of the stands and wiped out Singh, Lethal and Sanjay Dutt on the arena floor. Our pay-per-view checklist is nearly complete. We did get a Sting fall there. Allen scaled the ropes for a coffin drop, but Jarrett rocked him with guitar to the back. Sting delivered a scorpion death drop, while Allen added a coffin drop, eliminated Singh for the picture. And then Sting hit Lethal just about with a death drop, and Allen pinned him after the coffin drop. Monty, what the fuck is this? Do they just dust off Sting and Darby for pay-per-views now?
Yeah, they have a formula. Obviously, that like you said, it's a checklist that they have to fulfill for these big pay-per-views. You have to get the Sting and Darby match on the card. It has to be outrageous but fun, and you have to ignore the fact that it's pretty story leading up to it and after it is pretty much meaningless. Sad. You have to ignore that. That's what I had to do for this. And I love this though. Like I said, it was fun. It was just, I do want to caution everyone though. I heard TNA chants.
Yeah.
And I think overall that's my problem with this entire segment. Not only did they give me PTSD, they gave me PTSD with the fake stings of WCW in 2000, which by the way was the worst year in one company you could possibly think of. I promise you, go back. It was very bad.
Don't.
Yeah. Don't go back. I'm sorry. And then TNA chants, and like we said, some people are still surprised that they're still a surviving promotion as Impact. And then you have those chants here. Even though I said, like I said, this was still good fun. I do gotta say this. We have been there, and like you said, we've done this almost in every way. The only thing that was new about this was the fact that Satnam Singh was involved every now and then. That's pretty much the only fresh thing about it. Even though it was also awesome to see, even though with the lighting, I wasn't sure if Sting was all right on that dive, by the way, at first. But I'm glad he popped right up. So I was like, all right, he survived it. And that's great. So 3 1/4. But it's my overall rating. But like I said, it was still fun. I don't want to act like it wasn't positive in that matter. But on this long card, we definitely could have done without it.
It wasn't needed. That's the problem. They said it was good.
Exactly.
It wasn't needed. But Double J having a pay-per-view match in AEW in 2022 shows dreams come true. I don't know what fucking magic lamp helps to get his wish. To be fair, unbelievable. And when you think Jay Lethal teamed with Double J versus Ric Flair and Andrade in his last match, and luckily this time round their opponents didn't pass out in the... So, you know, you're looking at positives, I suppose. Jaxie, what did you score this out of?
Yeah, I mean, this match was good. I think Monty kind of touched on the main points here. I think if it wasn't for the fact that Satnam Singh was kind of getting involved and had some very highly entertaining moments. Like, I mean, seriously, I know he's tall, but how the fuck was he, like, perfectly there to catch Darby with, like, the height and everything? It was quite crazy. So if it wasn't for, like, that involvement, we would have kind of, like, seen this before. That could have probably been on a Dynamite or a Rampage. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was highly entertaining. And yet again, Sting did another massive dive that I was just terrified watching him do. And yet he still pulled it off like it was nothing. And the man's like, what, 60, 63?
85, 87.
I mean, like, I swear he's immortal, that guy. You know, it'll just come back from anything. But yeah, like, the match did what it needed to. I wasn't like, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like pay-per-view caliber to me. So, I mean, I'll give it a 3.5. It was good.
And Gina?
Yeah, again, I really enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect of Jeff Jarrett when he was returning. So for me, I was actually quite impressed, and I really enjoyed the match. I gave it a 4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it for a 3.95 just because Jeff Jarrett had a match in an AEW ring. Like, what a weld. And that's not even going to be like top 25 craziest things in 2022 when we do the year end. Oh dear. Predictions, we all went Sting and Darby, so it means Rogina are on 7 and John T are on 8. And the AEW Women's Championship match, Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter. And the intensity was high early on in the clash between former friends. Well, the Aussie sought to retain against her British counterpart, taking her to the floor and laying her into her with hard-hitting strikes. Hayter responded, dishing out a few of her own and seized control after a hot start by the champ. Physicality ramped up and Storm mounted a comeback late. Rebel, although cut off her momentum with a shot to the face. His title, we then see a bloody Storm nose crimson. Continued to fight for everything. Hayter threw at her. When Dr. Britt Baker DMD showed up and delivered a stomp on the belt, she kicked out of Storm Zero. The challenger for a suit kicking out the same move as Chancellor Jamie rose from the stands as Hayter Baker scored yet another 2 count. The challenger expressed frustration over her opponent. All the guts determination proved to be for nothing as Baker exposed the turnbuckle pad. Hayter rammed Storm face first into it. In and title off the ripcord lariat. Yes, your new interim AEW Women's Champion is Jamie Hayter. Jaxie, let's hear. I know you've got a shit-eating grin at me, so why don't you tell me what you thought about this match?
I love this match.
Oh.
This match was amazing. I had a fat smile on my face because I knew that this would happen, and I literally just couldn't wait to message you and say, "Hey James, how you doing?" No, I'm very pleased. Again, I think this also comes from the fact that Jamie is a fellow Brit, so I was extremely proud that she is the first Brit to be able to hold that belt. And I really love Jamie. I think she's got something great. Both women looked really good in this match, but Jamie dominated this match, in my opinion. There were so many highlight moments, though. They both work well together, and you can tell that the chemistry is there from their friendship. And you could tell that both of them were really having fun doing this. So it was really nice to just kind of see overall. I knew that Britt would get sort of involved, but the way that she used sort of like the stomp to the belt and stuff, like, I thought that was a little clever spot, especially because like Rebel had, is it Rebel or is it Reba? Wait, what's her?
I'll call her Rebel.
Okay, let's call her Rebel because of her song, but I'm sorry if I got it wrong. Like, she had set that up quite well. I didn't really see that as a setup until it happened. So I think overall this match went really well. I loved it. I'm happy with the outcome, and I'm beaming because I got one over on you. Yes.
Fucking hell. Well, for me, it didn't feel like the right time. But I'd much rather have the pop now rather than after it's cooled down. You know, not saying they're claimed, because I think they got that just right.
I think especially because of the fact that she has got a lot of this pop behind her right now, that like I would have hated if that like went so quickly. We've seen it happen with Ruby Soho. We've seen it happen even with Athena. You know, so I feel like if sometimes there's a right way to know when to capitalize off of something, and I think this was one of those moments. So I'm glad that they did make this decision. Because we just, like as we could all tell in terms of the conversation at the very beginning of this podcast, with how quick the fans changed their tune when it came to CM Punk. You just don't know how long there would be this hype for Jamie Hayter, you know? So I think capitalize off of it now while she is still hot.
Well, I think you're right about that. And again, talking about fair play to Jamie, another Brit doing under the radar for me. Brit herself seemed happy for Hayter, of course, helped her win. And as we know now, that's it for Tony. She will not be seen again. But again, it was an interesting matchup. I do doff my cap to both of Gina. Was your face about the prediction as you were, but I understand tension. And again, this time next it will be Monty.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of pressure on me. Again, can I just reiterate to anyone who didn't listen to the live show, I'm either against James on this, or I've got Monty this weekend against War Games. So I've got double the amount of pressure. So let me revel in a win that I get over you, okay, James? Because it's not going to last long.
No, hey, what? Because you're going to get
War Games a short show. No margin for error.
Exactly. You don't understand.
See what he's doing.
Honestly, don't.
Ramp it up.
I'm dreading this weekend. Like there is so much pressure on these predictions coming up. So, you know, I'm going to be concentrating real hard these next couple of days.
Well, as for the match itself, I really enjoyed it. For me, personally, it may be the best AEW's women's match I've seen. Yes, I know we had outside interference. I know, obviously, we had Baker versus Rose as well. But I just talk about straight up wrestling with a story told into it. The blood added to it as well with Storm. Some great near falls. And the fans, you know, we talk about Saray and Britt Baker. The fans were on their fucking feet towards the end of this matchup. Absolutely loving it. And credit to Storm. Again, mentioned earlier, Tony Storm led Jamie Hayter through. Fantastic matchup. Jaxie, what would you say?
Oh, I gave this a 5. Yeah.
Monty, what were your thoughts on this? What's your score?
So, like you said, both ladies killed it. They worked hard. Like Jamie was obviously she killed it in her performance. And like you mentioned, I want to give Toni Storm not only prop for leading her through the storm in this match, no pun intended, but she also did a great job. If we just don't look at how it was no story or no build-up for most of her matches, she was very, very active as women's champion. That was something that in the past we've already seen that it did not go that way for a lot of other women's champions. So even though her matches didn't have a lot of story to them, she was always visible as women's champion, always wrestling. So I do want to give her props for carrying the belt and doing that as well as she did. And I hope that she does not, like you mentioned, Jane, she's gone. I hope that she does not fall into that era of like Riho and all these other former champions who just pop up to lose an eliminator match, like Sheeta every now and then, just pop up to lose a match and then go away. I hope that she's going to stay around and continue to be active. And I hope Hayter's reign is also as active. And I thought it was the right move, even though I did go with keeping the belt on Storm. I'm not a big fan of the interference, but I think in this case, we all probably can see the interference is going to play a factor in that Britt Baker Hayter story that we all waiting for to come down the line. Yeah. They're gonna bring up how we helped you win the championship. So we'll see how it goes. And I want to say this also. The term interim seems like it won't matter until Thunder Rosa come back. So the ladies were great. 4 stars.
Well, like you said about that, we talk about, which is crazy to think that with Tony Storm, she secured the title itself in a 4-way battle with Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, and All Out, and has worked every single week since then. Which, again, is such an impressive stat.
Right.
Defeated Penelope Ford, Gina, Monty, and Anna J.A.S. And like I said, Tony here... I wouldn't mind even Tony Storm, Jay Cargill match, just so we have one Cargill match.
I don't find that either.
Yeah, still good stuff. Like, Gina, what would you score that for?
I mean, I really enjoyed the match. Again, I was happy that I got that win, so I gave it a 5 as well.
Yeah, I gave it 4 3/4. Absolutely loved this. Predictions, well, Regina strike back. They both went Hater, and Silly Team Jonty went for Storm, so it means everybody is on 8. Just left. Next match, AEW World Tag Team Championship, The Acclaim versus Swerve in Our Glory. For the third time, teams faced off. Bones was forced to overcome a shoulder injury that the challengers exploited early and frequently through the match. He was less than 100% and the weak link early on. He powered through low and with Case to overcome a unified effort by Strickland and Lee to regain the titles. But he gun arrived, preventing Strickland from snapping Case's fingers with a pair of pliers, fate similar to that suffered by Daddy Ass. And when frustration starting late, Swerve smacked his partner, causing Keith Lee to walk out on him and allowing their claim to down the lone member of the challenging team. Successful title defense. Gina, I mean, what do you think of this? Again, I should say the rap, so we didn't mention the rap, but your team's going to die like Twitter. I mean, Case with extra rappers. What were you...
I really enjoyed this match. I didn't know how well this match was going to be received because of the trios tag match went so hard earlier in the night, and obviously the crowd was still quite hyped from Jamie's match and Jamie's win. So I think they took that energy and they just put it all into this match as well. And both teams just gave it their all. The rap at the beginning was just brilliant. I love how he always personalizes it to sort of recent news, so everyone can kind of like relate to what he's rapping about and just put that in against the match against their opponent. And it doesn't even matter if they're jobbers or not. He still personalizes it for whoever he's like they're facing, which is just clever and great. But the match, again, it was just great. There was a worry at one point, like, are we going to have a similar situation to the trios match? Because there were similar aspects in terms of, you know, Swerve wanting Keith to go full heel with him. And, you know, he has this weird obsession with these pliers. So he's wanting Keith to use these pliers, become a dentist, you know, look at Britt, DMD. So for him, for me, I was quite worried we're just going to get a similar situation with what happened with Ray Fenix finally giving in to Pac, sort of antagonizing him and convincing him to go heel. But we actually got the complete opposite, which I think is quite nice and fresh to have two similar situations but see two different outcomes in the same night. I thought it was really good to see, you know, Keith go, do you know what, screw this. If this is how you want to be, mate, like, you carry on, but that ain't my cup of tea. So yeah, you guys, you have your fun with him. And I just love how he kind of walked off and left it, because again, I don't think I saw that coming. And so I was just as shocked. So it was a great match for me, and I gave it 4 1/4.
Cool. But Swerve is a star. I was upset there's no FTR involved at all.
Oh yeah, Swerve is he's just brilliant. I want to be his best friend. Yeah. I mean, he's just got so much swag about him still that even when he's being a heel, he's just so cool, you know? So, yeah, I still got to give props to Swerve and committing to his character.
Yeah, can I ask, I mean, this might be the elephant. What the fuck was Keith Lee wearing? Does anybody know?
Oh, you don't understand that.
Oh, wow.
All Jack was saying is, I can't get past what Keith Lee is wearing. That's all she could say.
No, right. So, are those shorts, or were they like too small to be trousers? Like, I couldn't tell. It was really baffling. I don't know what was going on, but this wasn't my favorite look for Keith Lee.
What the fuck was he? Do you have any idea? What the fuck? What was?
You remember that? I don't know. It was a very obscure match. Remember when Triple H wrestled at Chamber? I think injured, and he had the girdle on.
Yeah.
The girdle.
I remember
because he was hurt. Yeah,
yes.
That's what it kind of reminded me of. Just a longer version of that girdle that didn't. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that's what maybe he was trying to kind of match Swerve's pants gear, but it was off. It was off. I'm with you, but it definitely reminded me of Triple H's girl.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's not a proper. Yeah, it's not a proper split yet, though. Even though the crowd were getting tired, they still cheered and booed a fan getting kicked. So you talk about certain things the crowd interacts with or doesn't.
Did they? What happened? Was that on like the TV?
Yeah. They chanted asshole while Keith Lee was just doing thing, and it sounded like they were chanting asshole at Keith Lee for some reason, but they really were talking about a guy in the crowd.
Even Excalibur had to mention it because it was just too obvious, and everybody's looking elsewhere.
I must have missed that.
I totally missed that too. I totally missed it.
You were probably celebrating the women's title victory.
Yeah, it was still hype.
That win, to be fair.
Champagne everywhere, what it's like. But this was good. Let's move on from that feud. Jaxie, what did you score out of 5?
I mean, I thought it was a good match, so I'll give it a 4 1/4.
What about you?
3 3/4. That's what I wrote.
4. Better than some of the previous matches. Predictions, we all went acclaimed. We're all on 9. It's just like all on 9 points at this point. It's still really good scores. I know it's not going to affect anything in the end, but still to get this is it's still quite impressive. And then the main event, one last match. Match 13, AEW World Champion Jon Moxley versus MJF. MJF came out twice because he wasn't happy with the first one. Mox gave us a finger and then hit Regal with the strap. But I'm sure it will be no issue for William. We get chance of and new champs built from the stands prior to the opening bell. The match started interestingly enough. The combatants kind of reversing roles. Moxley worked heel, while MJF showed signs of the gutsy, resilient babyface whose destiny awaited him. MJF teased a dive, but instead ran the ropes and posed for the fans' adulation. Moxley beat down his challenger. Then Moxley bowed as the fans rained down with a chorus this direction. MJF delivered a tombstone pile driver on the ring apron, but screamed in agony. Why did he not tombstone Mox through that table? It got me at that point. I just thought the table is right there, and look what you've done to yourself. You deserve that now. You really deserve it. I hate stupid wrestlers sometimes. It really does get on my nerves. Moxley, though, looked like he was loving life. And when Moxley wrestles like this, you realise how good he actually is. Capitalising the injury and hitting a pile driver on MJF through a table, beating the hell out the injured leg and the knee, applying the champion, delivered an avalanche power shift, but MJF got his finger on the bottom rope in a break. I mean, you could say it was similar to that of Owens versus Jericho at WrestleMania 33, but hey, MJF pulled referee Bryce Rimsberger apart from Moxley, then retrieved the Dynamite Diamond ring. At the demand of William Regal, he tossed the ring away. MJF then tapped out to the Bulldog choke, but referee Paul Turner was bumped too. And then it happened. After weeks of vowing to win fairly, of claiming he had to win straight up to prove himself, he revealed collusion with none other than William Regal, who slid MJF the brass knuckles, and after betraying blow, covered Mox and your new AEW World Champion, MJF. And they do say, trick the devil ever pulled, convincing the world exists. Monty, I did not.
You didn't?
No, the Regal bit. No, I saw MJF. No.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. You didn't
My bad, yeah.
Regal's
the devil.
Honestly,
that's the whole point. If people...
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Regal's the devil here.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. The only reason why I would say I wasn't as shocked is, pardon me, but the internet sucks because I saw on Reddit people continuing the conversation after Dynamite leading up to this fight. Oh, man, I don't know, man. Regal's involvement is kind of, giving me, vibes that he could do this. So I had kind of already got tipped off to it. But like you mentioned, the little details of Mox would even, I guess, I wouldn't say much attitude. I mean, Moxley is attitude. So even that you wouldn't notice at first is going to be something that caused Regal to do it. But it was something about Regal's involvement in this story that always kind of said, okay, maybe he did have a chance of doing this. But the fight, oh man, the match ended up being really good to me. I thought both guys looked great. Moxley went with the flow with the crowd over there in Jersey. Basically, like you said, throwing middle fingers, playing it up as being the heel in the match. MJF played babyface well, but we all already, I think, knew that MJF was not going to stick it out because it's just like everything about him throughout his tenure have shown you don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. So again, I maybe that's good on him that his character is that set in stone that no one buys him turning babyface. But the storytelling in this match was great. I thought it had actually more storytelling than most of the matches on this card, and I really liked it. Even though I think the finish, even with the nuts and all that, was kind of predictable to me. But I do think this is the right move in my opinion because even with Regal in this position, I want to see that they're going to do more with Regal, with MJF, other than just guest commentary every now and then. Because as much as I think I love the Blackpool Combat Club, most of that club don't really need Regal. Other than Yuta, maybe, possibly, but which one of them needs Regal like that? Once they had the branding of being together in a club, so that's why he ended up just doing commentary for the most part. Even though he's doing his job greatly with those promos when he had chances to do that. So I would love to see his dynamic with MJF and all that. Like that story that they told at the beginning was so personal. I would love to see where it goes from here. And hopefully Tony can do what he has had trouble doing so far a lot of times, and that is making these reigns as interesting as the chase is. So hopefully MJF reign turn out that way. So I end up giving this entire thing 4.5. So.
Well, the thing is that I hope now, like, Regal becomes a right cunt towards Excalibur on commentary.
Right.
It's just like, I was joking. Fuck you. Like, that's what I want. As for the match, like I said, a lot to delve in there. Mox and Maroon, and the crowd were into it. And like I said, it felt like an old-style match. Work. Regal, at least. And, I mean, like I said, might not be a big shock, but to go through with it and to think what happened to Blackpool Combat Club now is interesting. But, I mean, Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this main event? Because I think it definitely delivered, and it's a result we...
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think all of us kind of saw some part of this match happening, I definitely caught it in terms of saying that there was going to be some form of interaction with outside people. However, I thought it was going to be that, MJF had really just set this all up with Stokely Hathaway and, you'd have the guys get involved towards the end just to get him to win. And then he would turn around and be like, oh, yeah, well done. So that's what I thought was going to happen. The shock with William Regal did come because I questioned it for a bit, but I also didn't really read into it that much because I just thought to myself that Regal comes across like a overprotective father towards John Moxley and Bryan Danielson. So I didn't see it coming for sure. That being said, I do agree with you guys. Now that you've said it, I'm very much looking forward to like asshole Regal on commentary. I'm definitely looking forward to the interactions he has with Excalibur because he's always been known as Man in the Mask. And I wonder if it's going to change and be like, oh, the idiot in the mask over there, So it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic change. I also have to agree with Monty. The more that I think about it and the more that I look at it, probably only Utah was really benefiting from being sort of in a club that's associated with someone like Regal. I don't really feel like Claudio, Bryan Danielson, or John Moxley really remotely need William Regal. Maybe just to rein in John Moxley's anger sometimes. That was probably, what he was best at doing. So I'm definitely intrigued to see where things go from here. And can I just put on a different side? I'm so thoroughly pleased to know that John Moxley is going to get his holiday. I'm really happy. Have some good, decent time off. Thank you for your work. Go and rest and go and be with your baby girl and your wife.
What would you score that at?
I mean, I'm going to give it a 4.9 because I thought it was really good.
Said it's upsetting about Blackpool Combat Club because it seems such quite and good concept, and it just feels like it's going to be a trivia question in 5 years' time now. So if you can remember the Claudio, Bryan, and Mox were in together, again, might change it out. Just feels a bit convoluted with the Regal MJF thing, like I said, with Stokely Hathaway and all that going on as well. But again, different layers, you know, to become an onion. And it makes us want to watch Dynamite because we want to hear what MJF and the expression was.
Oh, definitely. That's going to be the juiciest thing that's going to happen on Dynamite, I think.
Yeah, without doubt. Gina, what were your thoughts on these shenanigans?
I mean, I definitely agree with my sister. I think I'm more of an oblivious watcher when I'm watching wrestling. And I totally didn't see William Regal at all turning at this point. I really didn't. So for me, I think I was the one that was the most shocked by his turn. I did see MJF winning this, so that wasn't the shock. It was more William Regal's betrayal. But as you're all saying, I can't wait to hear William Regal calling Excalibur a toe rag and things like that as well. I just love heel William Regal. He was great like that in WWE when he actually wrestled. So just to see, you know, Daddy William Regal being the biggest cunt ever is something I look forward to now. I definitely enjoyed the match, and again, I think Jon Moxley just always puts in a great performance. So there were times that I was actually like, wait, is he actually going to get this? But then, nah, it definitely was always going to go to MJF. So I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, like I said, it starts the MJF era off. Worst thing they can do is like Regal go, now I just helped them for the night. I'll go back to Black Belt Combat Club and Moxie's out. Just wouldn't have this. I'm going to give it that 4.5 of 5. And predictions, we all went MJF. So the final scores, we all finish on 10. So that means Prediction League final scores, as we know, that Monty and Gina finish on 2. Jaxie on 3, on 4. But we'll go into points with that, because we got next month the year-end predictions where everything will go. So we'll look at the show in itself, and the match of the night, me's title match. I would say, would it be fair, Jaxie, that in women's match for you as well?
Yep.
Gina, what about you? Or Ricky?
I'm actually going with the trios tag match from my match of the night. It was just so good, and there were so many spots that was amazing. So,
we got that. Monty, what about you? It's like
MJF and Mox.
And then we look at MVP of the night. For me, MVP, it's pulling it. Got to go William Regal. It's just one to see the heel Regal again. Like I said, if it works well, and you know, MJF wouldn't want a title without him. So that's my MVP of the night. Jaxie, what about you?
I actually went with Jungle Boy for my MVP because I was really impressed with his performance in that steel cage match. And I watched the media scrum after, and his face is mashed. So yeah, fair play to him. I gave him that, but I also did give a female MVP to Jamie Hayter because she won.
Fair enough. Monty, what about you, MVP?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Only difference with me, James, that I'll just take a little bit. I raise you one, you know, Britt, add Jamie. So it's like Regal and Jamie Hayter.
And Gina, what about you?
See, I legit have this written down in my notebook, okay? I've got Jamie Hayter as my MVP of the night, but I put William Regal as my VIP NPC, non-playable character. So technically, I'm going to stick with those two.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I'll add Jamie Hayter and we'll have it across. And then finally, out of 10, Jaxie, what are you going to score it?
I mean, overall, I think that every match delivered to a certain caliber where it made the whole pay-per-view feel like a pay-per-view worthy show to watch. There were so many spots that we really just couldn't have done justice. So if anyone is listening to this and haven't watched it, please go back and watch it because these matches are really great and the wrestlers put in the hard work for it. I gave it an 8 out of 10 overall. I thought it was good.
Monty, what were your thoughts on the show?
Yeah, overall it was very good. I did think it, like I said, as a lot of these shows are, when you got this many matches, it did run long, but it didn't drag like a lot of the other shows have. It did a good job for the most part of showing me a good time. And if I have any complaint, it'll be that some of those matches, like I said, had too many false finishes. I just think sometimes AEW, every match, they need to understand that every match cannot be the show stealer. And I know all the matches seem to try sometimes, and that can be like sometimes my only problem with the way these shows are paced out sometimes. But I still thought this was very enjoyable, and I agree with you, Jax. I gave it 8 out of 10.
And Gina, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, there was no complaints for me. I think I said earlier in the show that there wasn't really a bad match on the card for me. I think the only thing is, as you guys have mentioned, is just the length. It was just such a long time. I was so excited to be able to watch it live on a Saturday night, but I still couldn't exactly stay up as long as it was on. I was so tired. So just because of the length of time, I went with 8 out of 10 as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's still 2 or 3 matches too long. I watched over 2 nights, which did help it go down well. But the problem is, when you start that second night and you've got Sting, you got that tag match, that wasn't really needed there. Do you know what I mean? You can actually pick the match. But again, AEW pay-per-view, it's the first AEW pay-per-view in a while. I've actually been more positive coming out of it than I have before, down to MJF and Reed. So I'm going to give that an 8.5 out of 10. Good stuff overall. Jaxie, you said you watched the media scrum. Was there anything interesting there?
Yeah, there were a couple of really well-placed questions, I think, that came from the media. One discussing any potential plans, for the return of Andrade and Miro, in which Tony was very much confident when saying, he's sure that once they return, they'll know exactly where they're going to be slotted into, and he has high hopes for both of them. So I think there's still plans there for them. They also sort of discussed the 2 Adams, whether or not he's spoken with them, how they're doing and things. He confirmed that they're both in a good recovery state, and he was like, I have no doubt that they'll slot straight back into sort of storylines really quickly. So he's hoping that something will kind of something he'll be able to give a bit more of a better idea on timing wise in the upcoming weeks. So that was like sort of another positive. There was a good sort of discussion for Jamie Hayter. She came on and they discussed this whole, what we discussed on the live show about this whole interim thing, and how long potentially we could see Thunder Rosa being out for. And Tony had sort of just discussed this in front of Jamie, and Jamie kind of like winced at the word interim for when it was first sort of like said. And yeah, Tony basically in a nutshell said, we are going to be looking into the length of time that it might take for Thunder Rosa to come back, and there'll be time for some discussion about whether or not we sort of take the interim away, but allow Thunder Rosa to come back in her own time, and challenge back for the belt then. So he has said that that's been in discussion, and I think that was one thing that we were all of us were sort of discussing and as to whether or not this is going to stick around. So it was a really good media scrum, to be honest.
And MJF, to talk about.
Jamie also mentioned, because she was asked about whether Britt will have her eye on the belt now that she has it. And she said, well, if Britt does have her eye on the belt, then I would welcome it, because I would find a challenge from a friend that I'm really close to more important to see through and fulfill on. So that was interesting as well. Yeah.
And then MJF just came on and just shouted shit at the media. Like, I don't even think that they got to ask him a single question. He just ranted and rambled at them, gave them shit and walked off. So
yeah, I mean, this is what I'm going to literally end this episode. We'll do the normal outro, but I'll end with how MJF left his, which is, anybody got any questions? Just kidding. Thank you. Fuck you. Bye. On it, the champ is fucking out, baby. Yeah, that was, like I said, if no one's seen the MJF promo, go and watch it. I'm sure they will play it on Dynamite.
It's so funny. So funny.
That is it for today's show. Like we said, we got through it. I thought it might be a little bit longer, but luckily I guess faith is on our side at this moment. So that is it for today. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the podcast. I'm at the WNR449. You can find the entire WNR to banner, or Monty, where can find you?
They can click the link in my bio at Mind Monty Pod on Twitter, or you can type in Mind of Monty on YouTube.
I think I might be having a stroke. Jaxie, where can people find you?
I'm across both Twitter and Instagram at Jaxie Scarlett.
Yeah. And finally,
you can find me on both at Purple Pain.
The WNR also on Facebook and Instagram, across all Google platforms. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com. YouTube podcast for all latest clips and podcasts at the same time on YouTube. We do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, right there. So that is it. Our next episode is WWE Survivor 2000, and it is War Games, and it is going to be Jax versus Monty, basically, in the predictions for that. But no pressure, Jaxie. You know, like, no pressure, Monty. You know, because
I got this.
This is the first time for both. So Monty might not be saying anything, but he feels it.
No, I don't. No, it is what it's gonna be, my boy.
Bring
like
it
what
on,
Mello say, what Mello Hayes, it is what it is, and that's what it's gonna be.
Monty don't miss. Remember that. Well, it's gonna be fun. Me and Gina can sit back like we have today. But until
I'm sure you will.
I shall indeed. We shall see. But anyway, let's go. So until then, I've been James Rowlands. I've been joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Like I said, good luck on Saturday.
Well, thank you. I definitely am going to need it, but I've got some confidence here, so bring it on.
Of course, the mind of Monty. Thanks for being on the show, man. And I'd say best of luck, because I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah. I don't think I realized it yet, but something big is happening this weekend, right? Thank you. You can wish me the luck, but I must say that it's going to go how it's going to go. I plan on winning, so just get ready.
And the genius, which is Gina, but you already knew I was going to say your name, because like I said, you can see into the future. So you know these things. So Gina, what I want to know, Monty and Jackson, just two and two, who's going to win between the two? Have you seen the future?
No blood bias,
I don't,
please.
I feel like I won't be able to make a decision until I drink a glass of gin. The G site only works once I've drank some gin. So
oh God!
Wait until Saturday.
That was such a sly way of getting out of that.
I don't want to choose.
No, I did put you on the spot. I mean, I'm back in Jaxie, but I mean, I don't want to get in the way of anything going on. You know, I'm not here to pick sides. Monty, you've got this. But like, you know, it's like me. I'll say it like it is.
You just played both sides. You're a double agent.
Olympic instigator.
Yeah, you all know if a fight breaks out, we all know who instigated it.
Exactly.
William Regal.
Yeah, it was Regal all along, like I said. But yes, I have been James Rowlands. We are live. Let's not forget, pre-show Saturday, 8 p.m. We are live again for Survivor Series War Games. Like, fantastic show. And weirdly enough as well, I've not actually mentioned, it will be the 450 WNR. Don't worry, I've got nothing special planned. But that is it. Thanks for listening, everybody. And bye.